A lot of you guys have been asking me about my video, GoPro Changed the Game, GoPro Hero 4, how the camera holds up when you strap it to your bike and you're riding, or if you're running with it, or if you strap it to your car and you're vlogging. So I thought today I'd go out and do just that. So this footage is untouched. This is the raw footage right out of the camera. I didn't do anything to it. No color correction, no color grading, no cropping, nothing. So what you're seeing is what you get in terms of shakiness from the GoPro Hero 4. This first clip is of me biking and the camera is facing me. So you can see it's holding up pretty good. I mean, it's a little shaky. You can hear a little rattling, but that could just be my brake cables. This next shot we're gonna see is the GoPro facing forward in front of the bike. And this is pretty noticeably shaky. Definitely not the best, but still viewable. Viewable, is that a word? So this next one is with the camera strapped looking towards my feet. And I think this footage looks great, honestly. This is where I find the GoPro works best. Let me just pause this. The GoPro works best when what you have it strapped to is nice and close to the camera lens. This next shot is the GoPro looking up with the wheel right next to the lens. This is pretty cool footage. I mean, really interesting stuff, and that's why I love the GoPro. And like I said, this is pretty usable too. Yeah, it's shaky, but this is not bad for no stabilization. This next one is the bike from the rear view with the lens again right next to the wheel, which I think looks great. Super action shot, love it. Getting some lens flares too. And this is afternoon light too. It's not even good lighting. Not that shaky, not bad. I think it looks good. Okay, this next up is the running footage, and I just have the GoPro Hero selfie stick. This is pretty shaky, but it's still very easy to watch. Okay, this next shot is me with the camera looking forward as I'm running, and yeah, it's shaky, but it's not terrible. It's not like so shaky that I'm, it's disrupting me. It's definitely shaky, but it's not terrible. Especially if you're going for that shaky look, like maybe that's what you're looking for. Okay, this next one is down at my feet, and I think this one is really rock solid. Looks really cool, very fast moving. Okay, this next one is with the selfie stick extended all the way. And this looks better. See, this is like an arm's length and a little bit away from me, and it's less shaky. You're seeing more. It's definitely more interesting, I would say. Okay, this is the car footage, and I have it strapped to the window frame of the car. And this is where I find the GoPro works best, is when you want to film yourself driving in the car, or you have a subject you want to film in the car, it looks great with the camera filming outside or inside. The suspension on your vehicle is really going to take most of the shake away, and it's just rock solid. This is where there's no reason for in-camera stabilization. That's why I still have the GoPro Hero 4, because look at this. This is rock solid. Okay, this is the camera looking forward. Again, rock solid. Nothing to complain about here. Okay, we're gonna show you some footage where half the screen is not stabilized and the other half of the screen is stabilized. And there's a noticeable difference. The stabilization on the right side, I used in Adobe Premiere Pro warp stabilization at 5%. So you wanna set your warp stabilization to 5%, and you're gonna get a little bit more smooth footage. It'll take out those major jitters that you see. And so that's why, again, I haven't switched to a newer GoPro, because I can just put 5% stabilization on it and it's pretty good to go. Yeah, it's not amazing, it's not like hyper smooth, but it is noticeably smoother with stabilization and definitely usable for any gig. And like I said, the image is great. I love the wide angle look of the GoPro Hero 4 Black. And the colors are great. It reacts to the sun really well. If you really want to see the stabilization, look at the trees on the not stabilized footage and the stabilized footage. And if you're looking at the trees, you'll really see the difference. You can see right here in the shake. The right screen is not shaking where the trees are, and the left screen is really shaking. Okay, this is the running footage. Half the screen stabilized, the other half is not. One thing to note when you're using warp stabilization, depending on how the level of percentage you use on the stabilization, that's how much Adobe will crop in for you. So 5% I think is like punched into, I don't know, it looks like 10, 15%. So you are gonna be losing the image size, but you'll have stabilized footage that looks decent, that looks good. Again, look at the trees here. Left screen is really shaky, right screen is not. It looks natural shaky, like if you were actually running. This is the GoPro stick extended. I mean, that is great. Like, this is crazy. This camera is so old, the GoPro Hero 4 Black, and it's holding up 4K, 20 frames per second, stabilized. This is great footage. I want to talk about some of the tools and accessories I used for rigging my GoPro up. So the first thing we have here is the same top frame mount housing. It's just this plastic housing for the GoPro Hero 4. It's great because it's just literally like a cage for it. It's not like the traditional GoPro Hero case where it's just plastic housing for underwater stuff. I don't like the plastic housing because it covers up the lens, and I feel like it just it softens the footage and makes it a little less desirable. So I like to use this housing where it's not blocking the lens. The second thing I like to use is the CamKicks Cinematic Filter Pack. It comes with 4 ND filters and 1 UV filter. I usually just put the UV filter on to protect the lens. I also would recommend using the ND filters with your GoPro. It really helps out the footage, keeps your GoPro from using high shutter angles to compensate for exposure. The third piece of gear I used was the Rotolite 10-inch Magic Arm, and this works great for getting the GoPro away from your subject or yourself or the object you're rigging it to. The wide angle lens really works well, I find, about an arm's length away, maybe even just a little more. That's a good gauge for you to kind of work from. The last gear that I use, which I'm a huge fan of, is the Impact Super Clamp, and this thing is rock solid. You can clamp it to anything, and I've used it on professional gigs and just test gigs. I totally recommend it. It's not going to come loose. I don't really use a lot of the GoPro mounts. I find that they're not as strong as my rigging setup, so I prefer to use this, and I've never really had any problems. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of tutorial on why the GoPro Hero 4 Black is still a competitor in the market with action cameras. So if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe, hit that like button if you liked this video, if you found it helpful, leave a comment. I love getting back to you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.